and let us all do we can to build a better future. All right, we're going to talk about the TYT and Cenk Uyghur. We got to talk about their hypocrisy again. We got to talk about really what exactly their overall role will be in this coming election cycle. Now, I played a video where Cenk said he basically prefers Biden over Trump, but yet he's being critical of Biden, but saying, "Oh, we still got to vote Democrat." What's the alternative, Cenk? I mean, at this point, you're telling us to vote Democrat, but what's the incentive of voting Democrat? Case in point right here. Case in point right here. If Democrats run Joe Biden, they're taking a risk. They're taking a risk. Oh my God, with the Republic. Joe Biden is losing or tied with Trump in half the polls out now. But the establishment loves the status quo so much they're willing to light the country on fire to protect the incumbent. To which again, I have to say, Janky. How can we take you serious when, again, you bring up this? Number one disappointment about progressives in Congress is that they showed they have no stomach for the fight. To this day, there's been almost no pressure on the establishment to pass any progressive priorities, and they seem all to have given up. Is anyone even trying anymore? Cenk, I remember in 2021 when Jimmy Dore and so many other heroic individuals did a live stream event for Force to Vote for healthcare in this country at the height of the pandemic. And originally, early on, I'm going to be generous, at least for a week, you and Sammy Boy Cedar were on board with it until you probably got a phone call or something happened to where you changed your tune. Force to Vote would have shined a light on the heartless Democratic and Republican lawmakers that would have chosen not to give us health care. Think about it. The squad, because that's a name. They're not really a squad. Could have formed a strong voting bloc like the Freedom Caucus, but they didn't. And instead, Cenk, what did you do? You carried water for those jagoff politicians. But that's not all what happened in 2021. There was the March for Medicare for All. There was a 3-day General Strike Summit meeting that was hosted by RBN. And of course, there was the failure for the fight for $15 minimum wage, in which 8 Senate Democrats, including Kristen Sinema, thumbs it down. And what did AOC, what did she do? She did nothing. 5 years of AOC, and nothing happened. But yet your network, carried water for the Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, our revolution, all these progressive institutions that were supposedly going to reform the Democratic Party. Hell, you founded Justice Democrats, and I reported on Friday's show how the Justice Democrats are going broke, and they are laying off staffers. You see, your mistake, Cenk, was assuming that you could change a corrupt neoliberal institution like the Democrat Party. You can't fix them because they don't want to be fixed, Cenk. I'll have the bear eat me and change me, and I'll change it in the inside. So here's Jimmy Dore. Here you go. Shout out to Chicago's very own. No, you showed you will never fight when it matters because your billionaire donors won't let you. Because after all, Cenk Uyghur got $20 million in Katzenberg cash. That's why you told the squad not to fight when they had actual leverage with Force to Vote. It's why you lied and said McCarthy would become speaker if they tried fighting Nancy Pelosi and the establishment. You turned on your own audience who supported and lost them. I won't let people forget who you are, as you should, Jimmy. Shout out to Jimmy Dore, Chicago's very own. After all, there is a documentary video that's out there where TYT covered the 2016 California primary. And in a video that we did where I gave commentary on that documentary, Cenk, in the early part of that video, where he was on the PBD podcast, said that there was no election fraud that took place during the 2016 Democratic primary. Heaven forbid I should pull up the link. Heaven forbid I should pull up the link, copy it, and paste it in the live stream chat for people to save and download. Heaven forbid I should do that because, what do you know? There it is in the chat for people to share. and to save and download. But I also want to pull this up here too, because the thing is, what we're seeing from TYT is this idea of manufacturing somebody who could potentially be, oh, I don't know, the next quote unquote Bernie Sanders. Here where Cenk is talking about talking to Marianne Williamson. That's right. Remember her? About her biggest obstacle, mainstream media, corporate media, and how she plans to overcome it. Cenk, here's a heads up. You know the game is rigged. Why even try? Is your job, Cenk, going to be getting people to vote Democrat?
Your number one opponent is going to be media. Because they're going to do two things. One is shut you out, and the other is say that you can't win. So that's how they attack all progressives, and then they go, "Oh, I didn't attack. I'm just saying something that that we all believe." Who's we? Who's all? Like, because if you like, I can make a case that Joe Biden can't win. An incumbent that is under 50% almost never wins. He's often under 40%.
But he'll say, "Hey, we got to vote Biden because Trump. We have to vote for Biden because Trump, who lives rent-free in my head."
So you could argue that he's the least electable, but no one in media other than me has ever made that argument.
I mean, the New York Times latest poll shows that he's in a dead heat with Donald Trump, who was just arraigned for his third indictment.
100%. But let me get to the question. Yeah. So given all of that, but what I'm interested in is, as you're living this now for the second time, what is it that you...
And again, it's pointless to run as a Democrat. The game is rigged from the start. It's a private institution. So Marianne Williamson supporters, don't you get it? You don't have a chance.
You think actually causes that mechanism? Like what? Like how does it get put into play? Because I don't think it's a memo. I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think the New York Times and the Washington Post talk and say, "Hey, let's make sure we keep out Marianne."
Oh, I think they do.
Okay, interesting. Go ahead.
I absolutely think they do. I can't tell you how many times we've been booked and then it's canceled.
Oh man, she's got that crazy eye. Hey, Marianne, are you ever gonna go back on to RBN? Nah, probably not.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course they do. She's not, don't have her on. Absolutely, you better believe it, don't have her on. Yeah, no, that's exactly how it works. And the hit pieces and the smears and the president's press secretary coming onto the podium at the White House to mock me. Absolutely.
Hey, Marianne, listen. I think the reason why people are mocking you is because you're not on any ballots yet. And also you have your team sign NDAs. And, oh, wait. There's been reports that your staff is hemorrhaging and people are saying that you're kind of crazy. You're kind of crazy.
Intentional. And it's intentional because they know that I'm saying the things. It's not like they don't know that these are the popular positions. They do know that these are the popular positions. So they say, don't let her on to say it because she could start a wildfire. And that's why I feel that the 10% I have, given the blackballing, given the hits, I'm thinking we're doing pretty well.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Because again, let's really talk about who Marianne Williamson is, and the fact that again, even TYT is saying, "Hey, heads up, you're in a bit of a situation." She's not a serious contender. And again, it's TYT, trying to make it seem like they know that corporate media and the Democrat Party is all bad. But at the end of the day, what's TYT going to tell you to do? They're going to tell you to vote Democrat. They're going to tell you to support Biden because Trump or whoever the establishment pick will be.
What is your stance on the...
Oh, and let me just pull up this tweet here real quick. This was from Nick from Revolutionary Blackout Network. Marianne Williamson is a pro-war pig who has no idea what the F she is talking about. Every person on the left who propped this pro-war moron up lost all their credibility. So here we're going to be talking about the war in Ukraine. This video came out on June 18th. And of course, again, we cannot forget. Never forget.
Russia-Ukraine war. I know you've said we should fund more or give more weapons to Ukraine. Where are you at with this crisis today?
There are people who seem to think that if you know how to put the word proxy in the same sentence as the word war, that you have it all figured out. Well, I don't think it's quite that simple. There are many people who just use that phrase proxy war as though that's it. This is a complicated situation. Did the United States meddle? Yeah, we obviously did. Should we have put those Aegis missiles in Poland? Absolutely not. But a lot of that conversation on the left in America today leaves out any sense of agency for the Ukrainians, for the Latvians, for the Estonians, for the Lithuanians. Look at what Finland is doing now. Finland was neutral for decades and has now joined NATO. So I do not buy the picture that Ukrainians aren't people. They're somehow cardboard cutouts, and they have simply done what we told them to do. This is not the United States removing Mossadegh and putting in the Shah of Iran. I don't believe that that's what 2014 was.
Marianne, clearly you have people not informing you or afraid to tell you the truth because you might throw a book at them. You're so out of touch. And, you know, if I know that they won't do it, because if they do, it shows just how desperate they are. But if TYT starts promoting Marianne as the most reasonable person in a Democrat primary, I think I'm about to burst a blood vessel in my brain. This person is just as pro-war as Biden.
I believe that if you look at the way the Ukrainians are fighting right now, Kim, the kind of spirit that those people are showing, that doesn't come from people who are just working at the behest of the US State Department. So and I also resent people saying like, they're the pro-peace candidate if they haven't figured out how we got here. No, excuse me, we all agree on how we got here. 85, 90% of what you said, I would agree with. The point is, what are you going to do now? If somebody says, okay, we're going to completely withdraw any support right now, the last thing that would happen there is peace. There would be such a crushing war.
Now, this video came out in June. So that counteroffensive is still ongoing and people are still dying. And now drones are being used to blow up bridges and buildings. It almost seems as if continuing on with the war is causing even more death and destruction, that peace isn't being achieved, that people are dying. And when Donald Trump is the most reasonable person to come up with the answer of, I just want everyone to stop dying. And that means everyone to stop dying. It tells me that we've entered a very dark time in this screwed up timeline of ours. But this person here, who is just a click, copy, paste version of all these people who want to reform the Democratic Party, this person is just going to continue on with the same policies and put a fresh coat of paint over the Democratic Party, their little house, and all the while, the whole institution is rotting from the inside.
War and a destruction of Ukraine. There has to be a diplomatic solution. Denmark, for instance, has now offered to do a summit. They've said it can't just be Ukrainian allies. It has to also be India, also be China, also be Brazil, all of which is realistic. Like I said, it's a multipolar world now. We should be supporting those diplomatic efforts, and I absolutely would.
But the thing is, when the pro-war lobby group, the military industrial complex, the war profiteers, start knocking on Marianne Williamson's door, she'll open it up and say, come on in. I got my crystals to read your chakra today and find out how you're doing. That's who Marianne Williamson is. And again, looking at TYT, looking at the Young Turks, I'm preparing myself mentally for their ongoing bombardment of saying, we have to vote Democrat. We have to vote Democrat. We have to support Biden. We have to trust the Democrats. We have to hold their feet to the fire. We have to keep our powder dry. We have to help out AOC. No, it's a failure. It's a dumb idea. And the thing is, at the end of the day, even when we see the Democrats for who they are, Cenk still sides with them. I might have criticized Nancy Pelosi more than any host in America. What? Then why in 2021 did you say, Cenk? Why, Cenk, did you say that we have to not to force the vote because Nancy is the one to get things done and that AOC has a plan. The squad has a plan. Just keep our powder dry and we could do something. You know, when there was a vote done on the TYT network where the question was brought up to the audience, do you support force the vote? A whopping 85%, 81 to 85% in that poll sided with force the vote and Jimmy Dore. But he goes on to say, so I'm unbiased when I say that Trump is an unhinged lunatic because Trump lives rent free in Cenk's head. When he posts things like this about her, she is sick and demented psycho who will someday live in hell. How is that not psychotic? What's the point? Well, I know Trump said this, but I don't disagree with Trump's statement about old hagbag Nancy. She has enriched herself, Cenk, in insider trading. She will never move or support any progressive policy. And not to mention, she has done everything she could to derail the progressive movement. And of course, at the end of the day, the Congressional Progressive Caucus will not cross the Democratic Party. What can we take away from TYT? What can we take away from these people who are going to tell us to vote for Biden? That we don't have to take it. And we don't have to fall in line. And I think we can never forget that during the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, when we were told to shut up and fall in line, keep our powder dry, and we could push the Democrats to the left, we got nothing in return. We must never forget that. And when it's 2024, I encourage all of you to vote independent and third party. And you know what? If you're burnt out by electoral politics and you don't want to vote at all, that's your right to do as well. Because the Democrats have done nothing to earn my vote. And I don't plan on supporting those jagoffs at all.